Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by PointsBet. Use that promo code CHGO when you sign up to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. Luke Stuckmeyer, Cody Delmendo, and Ryan Herrera with you, and 2 special guests to start off the podcast on this Tuesday afternoon. Adam Sobel, director-producer from Cubs Productions, and Mike Welsh from Sky Candy Studios. You're asking, who are they and why are they related to this Cubs podcast? Well, I'll tell you why, because they are 2 of the guys mostly responsible for that unbelievable drone video that the Cubs put together that you saw at the end of the season. Adam, Mike, thanks for joining us. We appreciate you guys jumping on with us.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us,
Luke.
Yeah. So I guess my first question is, first of all, I watched it. I was in television for 25 years. I've been a cameraman. I've never flown a drone, but I've done lots of editing. I watched it and my mind was blown, first of all. Like, that's one of the coolest videos I've seen. So kudos to you for that. How did the idea, first of all, come about for putting that together? Because I know it's not just, we'll get into the details. It's not just one shot, obviously, but how did the details of like, let's try this come about?
Yeah. First of all, Luke, how do you know it's not one shot? How do you know? How dare you
I
spoil
have
things
guesses
already for people?
I have guesses for 2 edit points. I'll tell you later, but I mean, it doesn't
gonna
matter.
hurt when
I
you
don't
get
care
them
if it was
right.
1,000 edits. It was awesome.
Yeah. So the projects came about through Cubs Productions. This was an idea that our executive producer Mito had initially. I actually think the genesis for the idea, though, came from something that Mike and his company had done earlier. There were these drone fly-throughs that a lot of people have seen. There was one amazing one on HBO Hard Knocks of the Cowboys facility, and Mike was responsible for that. And so, we had been talking about what we could do this season. This was, way back in maybe February before the season began. And the idea of doing some sort of fly-through came up, and Matt got in touch with Mike, and we kind of took it from there. And I got extremely excited about the idea of working with Mike because, beyond like the cool things that he's done in sports, he made this drone video in the pandemic that I had seen that went kind of viral. It was of this bowling alley in Minneapolis, right? And it was just like this amazing one take that got picked up by like New York Times. It got picked up on all the outlets. And when I watched it, I was like, this is so cinematic and so cool. And so that's part of what excited me about working on it with him.
Well, I know my buddy Joe Rios is over there, and he was a big part of this too. I mean, you guys did an amazing job, but I know the first time most people saw it, you thought, oh, it's a drone video. And then it flies through the fire truck behind Wrigley Field. Everybody's just kind of, there's like a gasp from anybody I've shown it to, like, how did you get it through the fire truck without crashing the drone?
Yeah, so surprisingly, that's not that hard of a gap because the drone is so small. I mean, the drone's about a foot by a foot. And you've probably heard about these style of drones. They're the FPV ones where you wear the goggles. So you actually basically feel like you are the drone when you're flying. So you're able to accomplish those more difficult shots, flying through, pull it up. Flying through a window. We definitely crashed inside the truck once. So it's not like an easy shot, but we got a cool behind the scenes video of that with the fire guys, waving at the drone. But yeah, no, it was just awesome that they were down to be a part of the video. Like, they were so helpful and did everything we asked them to do, and they were just good sports all the way through.
Yeah. My question is, how did everyone react to see, like, how did you get like all these people in Murphy's on the street at Wrigley, and just like, how did you let them know, hey, there's a drone that's going to fly right past your face? Just don't be alarmed.
Right through the window. It was, I think, how do we say it? It's like a lot of those people are planted, right? A lot of those people are people who we work with or friends who we called in for the day and said, hey, could you be involved in this? And then a lot of those people aren't. And the people who aren't, I would just say, like, you know, we have really loud friends who would just like broadcast it before every take, like, drone coming through. Come on, guys. Like, just everybody know we got the drone coming through. Don't look at it. And so it's just a lot of like running up and down the street, running in and out of Murphy's, letting people know this is happening. Joe Rios says, you know, Luke, you like, Joe Rios was the producer on this, and he was like, you know, Mr. Hustle, I would say, definitely letting a lot of people know that this was going on. And then we got some happy accidents. Like even when we flew through Gallagher Way there, you know, maybe it wasn't by accident, but we realized like, oh, we're going to have this band playing. They can shout it over the, you know, in between songs. They'll just let everybody know that this is happening. And then actually when they're playing music, they're distracting everybody from the fact that there's a drone coming through. Right. So like everybody's listening to the music and they can't even hear the drone coming. So, yeah, it was a lot of coordination, some luck, a lot of takes, a few crashes, and yeah, good fun.
And like after like the third time you fly through Murphy's, people are kind of bored with it. The first couple times you got frat boys flicking it off, and you know you're gonna have some unusable takes. But the third time it's kind of like, okay, we've seen that, like we're good. Okay. So that's the key, is just run it more than 3 times, and you'll get a good take.
Unbelievable. So the technical questions, the one guess on the first dissolve or maybe second dissolve, is it when it goes through the scoreboard and you get the white light coming through from Wrigley Field? Is that an edit point there? Can you tell us where the edit points are?
Well, I can tell you that that is not an edit point, and yet it's a fantastic guess. And it's kind of like Mike was he was a little upset actually during the shoot, because I was like, you know, that's a perfect spot for an edit if we need to add one. If we're like the start, you know, like the first half of this take, but we're not in love with the second half, we can always swap it out there. And I was like, look at, like, even like we're blowing out there. And so Mike was like, no, but it's not an edit. I don't want people thinking it's an edit. That's gonna. And so it's actually not an edit, but it almost should be. So it would be like the perfect spot for an edit, but it's not one.
Unbelievable. Gosh, I have so many questions. So like I assume it's being shot at like, are you shooting it at full speed? I don't understand how the drone is going so fast, and yet the people, it must be at regular speed because the people are walking at regular speed. But I thought to myself, well, there's no way they're flying a drone that fast because they'd be crashing it all over the place. Is it regular speed? Did you mess with the speed somehow?
It's mostly regular speed. There's some areas where we wanted to get through it a little quicker, and I think we bumped it up to 110, maybe 115. But I would say 80% is real time. Wow. Yeah, so it's yeah, I mean the drone flies pretty fast. It's you know, you can get up to 35 miles an hour with this drone. But like I said before, what's nice about it is it's so small, and it actually weighs under 250 grams. So it's almost like nothing. It's if you felt it, you'd be like, this is an absolute toy. So it's pretty incredible when you actually see the drone flying around.
It's like you're flying a feather or something. Like it's just letting it go.
It's a kite.
I was amazed, like when the drone showed up, because we were talking about flying through the window, and like, you know, I've never shot with this type of drone before, and so, like, I don't know how to describe. It's like I've eaten slices of pizza bigger than this drone. You know, like this drone is not that big, and so when you look at it, you're like, oh, that's what we're dealing with here. Yeah, we really can go like in and out of really tight spaces, and we really can you know, kind of buzz very close to people as well, because it's padded and it's super light, like Mike said, so it's not going to do any sort of, you know, damage.
And that's kind of like the game changer with these drones, is they're so safe. You're able to fly them incredibly close to people. So we've been able, like, we flew this drone like a foot away from like Rihanna's head, and these lawyers are starting to sign off because they look at it and they're like, oh, this actually is an incredibly, like, there's no risk here. And so it's making these type of productions possible where, you know, before, if you don't have those prop guards and you could cut someone, it's like definitely not worth, you know, trying to do a shoot like this. But now that the safety's been bumped up, we can do it.
How did you pick the day? Obviously, like it's a 120 start, Cubs, you know, at Wrigley Field, but it's like you could have ran into rain. It could have been like crazy wind. It could have been no one there. Like, how did you how'd you come up with the right day to do it?
Yeah, that was a tough. So we did actually we gave ourselves a 3-day window. So we had Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We picked a weekend series. We did this during the Mets series because we knew, that's a marquee matchup, right? You're going to have a pretty packed house generally. And we had really bad weather on Friday. We had like terrible rain, foggy conditions. Saturday, when we shot most of the shots that end up in the final piece, like the conditions are pretty foggy. It's overcast. It was not a beautiful day to fly the drone. It was windy too. And then Sunday was even worse. So to be honest, like we did not really, we weren't feeling great about things on the day of the shoot because we're like, oh, this is not, the perfect sunshine and fresh air Wrigley Field that you want to see.
Mhm.
But I think that's even more of a testament to like the final product, that people don't seem to be noticing that. They just seem to be kind of keyed in on how cool it is, and
Yeah.
even like how emotional it is for some people. So that part's great for us.
That was what
if
I was
you-
gonna say. The one thing that I wish that it would have been was there was more sun, because I just feel like that would have made it even better. But hey, it's an incredible video.
It really
Thank
is.
you.
The Dingers podcast on the YouTube feed saying beautiful video, most scenic views in all of baseball. Thank you, Michael, for bringing the beautiful sights and sounds of Wrigley of a Friday 120. I think most Cubs fans, I think I've seen every view of Wrigley Field that there is possible. Every closet, the scoreboard, all of it. But I've never seen Wrigley Field or Wrigleyville that way in what looks like and feels like one shot. I mean, I just can't get over it. Now, there's no way baseball let you guys onto the field with the drone. Am I wrong about that? Like, I can't imagine that Major League Baseball was like, yeah, fly a drone over our park. How did you get Seiya running out of the dugout from what looks like, again, one shot, like you're coming up the hallway and it times to him running out onto the field? How did that happen?
Yeah. So I guess that's like, the spoil this amazing drone videos, that it is not all drone. It's not all shot with the drone.
Wow.
So we actually, had planned to shoot the whole thing with the drone. We had sign off from everybody. We were going to fly the drone out. And then a few days before the shoot, it was like, oh, wait a minute, somebody changed their mind. We're like, no, we're not flying a drone out on the field. That's a bad idea. And so we had to then quickly find a different solution. So actually, there's 2 shots in the finished piece that are not on drone. It's a small gimbal camera. For the final shot, Michael actually, I love it because it was like one of the parts of the deal, I guess, that we had with Michael's company is like they were gonna get a suite at the game, and so on Sunday, Michael's at the game, gonna take it in with a bunch of friends after we had finished shooting. But we had to get this last shot with Seiya because we got it on Saturday and we were happy with it, but we wanted to try to tweak it a little bit. And so Michael was like, man, I'm gonna go to the suite, kind of get ready, and then I'll come back for just before first pitch, and I'll do this last shot where we run out of the field. And it's like a long run. People underestimate how long that run is from the dugout to right field. And Seiya, is like a world-class athlete, right? So he's not going to loaf out there. He's got the fans there cheering him on. And Mike had been like, we've been shooting all day. That was like a 1-hour break where Mike's like, gonna have a hot dog, gonna have a beer, and then gonna run, 300 feet to chasing Seiya Suzuki with this gimbal camera. And, he did an amazing job, but I don't think it was like nearly as easy as probably we would have liked it to be, or you thought it'd be initially.
Yeah, everyone was saying it looked like I was working really hard to keep up with someone who was barely jogging. And that's exactly what it was. I was completely out of breath, and I was most nervous for that shot because I was like, what if I trip up the stairs? Or like, I don't know. It was just timing it out was a little scary, but it turned out pretty good.
Yeah, you did
You
great
tripped up the stairs.
considering how hard it is.
Yeah.
It
I
would've
mean,
been
he did an
bouncing
amazing
for me,
job.
up and down, huffing and puffing.
Well, and when you run with a gimbal, obviously you want to keep it as smooth as possible. So you get this like kind of a weird run. I got some behind the scenes video of it. I look absolutely ridiculous, but anything for the shot.
Yeah. So obviously that drop before, during the last homestand, I think it was that Saturday. What was the feeling like kind of leading up to that, knowing like you guys put the finishing touches on it, it's ready to go, and then the feeling afterwards of seeing the reaction from, Cubs fans or Twitter or whoever it was?
I'll just say personally, like it was exciting. It was a relief in some ways to be releasing it, because we were kind of, I would say, putting the finishing touches on it for a while. So, we were waiting with great anticipation to get it out there. And then, I thought it was really good. And I have felt that about other things that have made, and you have a good feeling, but you're just not positive that, you don't know how it's going to be received. And I would say, expectations, like it's done awesomely well. And it's amazing just to read people's feedback about, there's like a lot of people who are just impressed by the cool factor, which is awesome. That's what, that's what we're going for. But then there are a lot of people who are, touched by how we've showed off the neighborhood, or because they feel like it's kind of captured their experience of going to the ballpark, right? And so those that I think elevates it for me, and just makes it special.
I mean, awesome job, guys. I literally can't say that enough. Like it's one of the coolest sports videos I've ever seen, and to do it at Wrigley Field, hats off, job well done. And I look forward to the sequel when you guys do it at the next Cubs World Series game in a couple years. That's and Mike, no hot dogs before you shoot that one. I want you to be ready to go for that one.
That's right.
No,
Just coffee.
Mike's proven he can do it with a hot dog or two. Like he's good to go. He's always
and a beer.
And a beer.
Built different.
Yeah.
I like it.
All right. Thanks, guys. We don't want to take up too much of your time, but we really appreciate it. Again, it's Sky Candy Studios. Mike Welsh, the cinematographer, and Adam Sobel, Joe Rios, and all the guys over at Cubs Productions, directors, producers, everybody involved. Literally, that's as good as it gets. Job well done.
Yeah.
Thanks very much, guys. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, great job, guys.
Sure.
Thanks for coming on.
Green Ridge Farm, a local meat and cheese company offering you a better all-natural option. Makers of all-natural deli meat, sausages, and their famous meat sticks. Perfect for tailgating, happy hour, school lunches, maybe before you head to Wrigley Field. All-natural meat sticks are handmade and hardwood smoked for 8 hours. I can't read my own writing on that one. They're all natural, and they have 16 grams of protein per stick. They're made absolutely perfect, and they make a great post-workout snack. Meat sticks come in chicken, black forest beef, jalapeno cheddar, spicy chili. Delicious because they're made from recipes generations in the making. All natural. They deliver a fresh, flavorful alternative at snack time. Refrigeration section, you can find them at Costco, Sam's Club, your Chicagoland grocery stores. And right now, when you order 3 meat products at greenridgefarm.com, include a pack of meat sticks in your basket. They'll be free when you use the code CHGO at checkout. That's Green Ridge Farm, simply natural meat.
Luke, remember
Yes.
when Cardinal fans got to go to the playoff game for $1?
I do. And they
Yeah,
still, what's the record now? They played 2 games in October.
Yeah, 2 games in October.
And how many did the Cubs have?
The Cubs have 3 wins in October, and the Cardinals have 2.
Interesting.
Facts. FAX. These are facts. But Cardinal fans, and even if you're like me and you're just really ruthless and you wanted to do a good hate watch in person, you could have gone to the Cardinals Phillies game 1 for $1 because of Game Time.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why I love Game Time, because if you really hate something that much and you want to watch something fail in person that much, man, Game Time really sets you up, guys. It really did.
$1
for $1 whole. Game Time is the hottest new ticketing site that makes it easier than ever to score the best deals on tickets to sports, concerts, and shows. Ever dreamed of sitting in a seat you never thought you could? 50-yard line, courtside, behind home plate, floor seats at a concert. It's possible with the Game Time app. The biggest last-minute price drops can be found on the seats you thought you could never buy. You won't find a better deal this season on Bears tickets, Blackhawks, Bulls. I mean,
Harry Styles.
Harry Styles.
Yeah,
my girlfriend went to Harry Styles last night somehow, some way. I don't know how she did it, but she did it. It was mainly because of Game Time. I'm telling you. Created by the fans for the fans, guarantees the lowest price. If you love CHGO, you'll love Game Time. The best way to support us is by buying your tickets through the link in the description here on YouTube, or if you're listening via podcast, it's in the description as well. Join over 15 million people who have downloaded the Game Time app and scored the best seats to all your favorite events.
Yeah, I did Game Time a couple weeks back to go to the Bears game. Great time, great seats. Bought them we were at our CHGO tailgate, a few blocks away. Bought them right there for like $100 a piece. It was cheap.
Yeah, I went and watched the barn burner that was Illinois, Iowa, the 9-6 victory because of Game Time. I mean, I got to watch the grit that is Big Ten football, like a few rows off the ground. It was a perfect seats. I think I tweeted a picture out where I was sitting. It was all because of Game Time, guys. It was just perfect. It was a great time.
We should ask Mike Welsh if he'd do a drone video of us on set next time. Just kind of fly through the set, through the alley outside the office, then maybe where the Jimmy John's guy comes into the office, and then through Jake's office.
Oh yeah,
that'd be a quick video. But
I love how I can't remember exactly what he said, but when Ryan asked them about how it made the feedback, how it made them feel and everything, and how he said something related to the lines of how it made it reminded a fan of their fan experience. And that's how I felt, because it starts at Murphy's, and I go to Murphy's before every game basically. And then you go around the ballpark and, you get to see all this. And it's just that's the feeling it gave me when I watched it for the first time.
Wrigleyville for Cody.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's even beyond that, because it's it takes you in the scoreboard. How many people get to go in the scoreboard? It takes you into the clubhouse. It takes you through the weight room, and you follow, there's so many places it takes you. It's just, it really is amazing. They had to match the audio because the drone makes too much noise. So the audio's on it is all faked, but it doesn't feel that way. No. The whole thing was really well done. I saw at some point, early on, it had 7 million views just on Twitter. So I don't know what it's at now, but if you haven't seen it, I would assume it's now on
7.6 million views, Luke.
Where is it at?
On Twitter, 7.6.
7.6. And I'm sure it's on their YouTube page and all those different places, because really, it's pretty awesome. Okay, the rest of the podcast, we're going to start doing our grades, right? Our report cards.
People are excited about this.
Yeah. And I saw Jack asking, hey, are you guys going to mention the Ricketts letter? Do you want to mention the Ricketts letter? Because it's really it's more vanilla ice cream, right? It's just hey, it's not good enough. We're going to try to win. I don't know what he's going to say that's going to surprise you. Is there anything in there that you want to say before we do the report cards?
Not really. He just highlighted, the second half of the season. And then he said the classic, we got resources and basically balls in Jed's court. It basically was everything that you would expect him to say.
Right.
I just want to say again, though, don't overread it. Don't take every word to heart. Because we said it yesterday, it's playing a game of poker, man. I honestly don't want them to tell the entire world that, hey, we're going to spend millions and millions of dollars. That's only going to hike the price up for a lot of guys that people think they might be interested anyway, I think.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, I saw Ryan's article about what Jed said. We were talking about it. I said it's vanilla. Forget it. But there was stuff to dissect out of it. And Ryan, that's unlocked, right?
Yes,
it is. You have to have a subscription just for that article.
No, unlocked over at allchgo.com. The takeaways from Jed's end of season presser is on there. Yeah, no, that's unlocked. So even if you don't, if for some reason you're still not subscribed to CHGO, like you could go and read that one for free. And then, there's always a link to, if you like it, there's a link to sign
Subscribe
up.
and get your free shirt. You still get your free shirt. Go ahead and do it.
Like what me and Ryan are wearing.
I heard a rumor that Ricketts at one point did have a shout out to Michael Collada in the letter, but he decided to take it out. Too much negativity, he said. Too much negativity. Anyways, check out Ryan's article, allchgo.com. We decided to start with one position player and one pitcher, right? And we decided we'll break down the position players by offense, defense, and then an overall grade we gave them, because we didn't want it to just be like, did the guy hit well? Did he play well in the field? We want Andrelton Simmons to have a fair shake in this when we get there.
Andrelton Simmons.
And
we're really going to break down every single player that was on this roster.
Right?
We should break down Ildemaro Vargas too.
We got time. We've got time.
64.
So we're going to start with the guy in the team that probably had the best season overall. Does everybody agree with that? Nico Hoerner had the best season for a Cubs player this year?
Absolutely. I don't think there's anyone better from first game of the year to the very end of the year. He was far and away the best player on the Cubs this year. Definitely a position player. It's hard to compare a position player and a pitcher, but
I think there's one or two that have an argument to have been the best player, but I think Nico is the one that kind of broke out the most.
Yeah, for sure.
He definitely had the best season in terms of kind of where he came in or expectations coming in kind of thing, I would say.
Yeah, and that's the tricky part, having to factor in these. Yeah, I'm trying to be as fair as I can in the grades, right? And I know you guys are too, but again, like you said, Nico, the expectation was lower. He went above that expectation. How do you compare that to a guy like Wilson Contreras? And should we be factoring it? I personally kind of graded mine, I think, tough, because I'm going to grade guys compared to the rest of baseball, right? So I don't want to just compare them to hey, this guy had a good season for him. How did he have a season compared to equal players from the same position for the Cardinals, the same position for the Brewers, the same position for the Yankees, the same position? So
I did the way I did it. I did it the same way. So
you did it that way too?
Yeah, yeah. We're on the same wavelength, and I'm glad that we're a little different.
Yeah,
based off what I've seen.
I might have done mine a little different, but
that's all right. I mean, fine. I just want to explain it before we get people all angry about what the grades are. I see Michael Collada says Nico a B, Hap a B plus, and I think I saw Shane saying B plus plus. Is that right for Nico? I thought I saw that earlier. B plus plus. Yeah. Okay. Who wants to go first? Ryan, you want to go first with your grades for Nico?
Let's do it. So with Nico, I gave him an B plus on offense. I mean, he didn't he did not show that he's a top tier hitter in this league or anything like that. But I mean, he hit 15 home runs or 10 home runs. What was it? 10 home runs? Yeah.
10 home runs.
Someone else hit 15, but he hit 10. Under, because we were one away.
Yeah, the under hit.
10 home runs. I mean, the 106 WRC plus, you want that higher. And I think, a little bit lower slug. That didn't help a ton, but I mean, he hit 281. OPS is in the 700s, and his contact rate, strikeout rate, all that is stuff's top of the league kind of stuff. And so if you're comparing it to the rest of the league, no, Nico's not going to hit you a ton of home runs. If he can get you 15 to 20, in seasons moving forward, that's very, very good, but I don't think you expect it. But if you're comparing it to the rest of the league, that's Nico proving that he's a guy that fits in at the top of the order. I think Nico could be a leadoff hitter. He has enough pop, but he puts the ball in play. I mean, he doesn't whiff a lot. He doesn't swing and miss a lot. It's all he's a very good contact hitter. And as much as power sort of dominates the game these days, you need a guy like that. And I think Nico kind of proved that he's one of the better guys at doing that in the league. So I think at the lower slug, and obviously the WRC plus, the numbers, it knocked him down for me into the B plus range. But I think he kind of proved that he's not an 8 or 9 guy in the lineup. He needs to be near the top for when the Cubs are ready to win. And then as far as the defense, I did it differently. Actually, maybe not, because I gave him an A+. I don't think either of you two did, but he had like, I think he was second in the National League in defensive run save. He had 11. Miguel Rojas had 15, but that's like he's the fourth most defensive run saved in the majors. And what really did it for me and why I gave him an A+ is like we said a few minutes ago, which is like the expectations for Nico. You didn't know what you were going to get. He hadn't proven that he was a long-term solution at shortstop in any season, not even just because he couldn't stay healthy, but you just didn't know. But he put in the work in the off season. He got stronger. He got that arm stronger, and he showed that all year. His range is probably better than anyone expected. I mean, he was making Jeter-esque plays out there in the hole, and to do that compared to what the questions around him at shortstop coming into the season, I just think he way exceeded everyone's expectations of now. As much as everyone thought the Cubs should go get one of the shortstops and that be your shortstop and Nico move over to second, I don't think that's like changed much. I think from last offseason to this offseason, like it's still kind of like that's what they should do. But now it's not like you're completely comfortable with Nico as your shortstop next year if that doesn't happen. If for whatever reason they get outbid for any of those top 4 shortstops, like having Nico Hoerner as your shortstop next year is like, that's not a death sentence. That's not a worst case scenario by any means. Like he proved he could be a very good shortstop at this level. Would he be like a perennial Gold Glover at second base? Probably, but I don't think it's not a bad thing to go into next season with Nico as your shortstop.
No, I think those are fair. I think those are really fair grades. In fact, it's made me rethink mine. Although my graphic is in already, now you've got me second guessing by a plus
Luke
or a minus.
Luke is treating grades like who you got.
Maybe I should have consulted the other professors before the other club professors.
You should have consulted Brendan Miller.
Well, Brendan. We don't need Brendan's grade on Nico Hoerner. It's A+, and A++.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, we know exactly what that report card looks like.
I can go next because mine's pretty similar to Ryan's.
How is yours compared to Ryan's?
So offense, I went B+. In defense, I went A, and overall, I went A. Which Ryan, you said overall was an A as well.
Yeah, I gave it an A overall.
So I guess the reason I went B+ on the offense is kind of similar to the reasons that Ryan said. But also I went B+ there because for the reasons that Ryan said that he would get an A if it was a little bit higher. I'm also okay with the fact that his numbers were at where it's at because Nico should, like we saw during the golden era, the Cubs having nothing but power hitters in their lineup wasn't always the best thing. So I like his offensive game. I think I put B+ because I think it can be better next year. I think what he hit 10 this year, I think he could be a 15 homer guy. Never forget back in like May and June where I said this guy has Tim Anderson-like qualities as a hitter. And Steven, our producer, looked at me like I was a moron. And then a bunch of people yelled at me in the chat. And what happened? Nico Hoerner was the best shortstop in Chicago this year. And it's not even really like a question. And you know what? Tim Anderson was the starting shortstop for the American League this year. So, I mean, I'm just saying that's a big reason why he's getting an A overall for me because he outperformed the starting shortstop for the American League that's on the other side of town. That's not me saying that Tim Anderson isn't good or anything. He's great. He's a great baseball player. But Nico Hoerner had a better year than him this year, and the numbers speak for themselves. Again, the defense, Ryan already said it. I think that's his best quality for sure, and especially with the shift going away. If you compare another athletic guy up the middle with him, you will have an elite defense up the middle. And again, with the shift going away, that will be very, very key for this team moving forward. So I think Nico will be the only guy I give an A to on this roster. But to me, I think he's more than deserving of it. A lot of people coming into the season thought that this guy was a second baseman only. No one even wanted to give him the chance to play shortstop. And not only did he excel at it, he excelled at it at an elite level, especially defensively. Now, offensively, again, it can be better, but I'm also okay with the fact that he had a 106 WRC plus and is just a really good contact hitter.
Well, it's like you want it to be higher because if he's going to be like a guy you count on in the lineup, like that needs to be higher. It's a little too close to league average for a guy that you want to pencil in as your like top 4 or 5, whatever hitters. But there's room for growth, obviously, on his offense. Like as long as he's putting the ball in play, he gets older, he gets more in his prime. I think more pop will come, and that'll obviously help that number rise.
I think that number will rise a little bit more. I think I can't say that for everyone, but I just think the shift going away is going to benefit so many guys next year. And for a guy like Nico, who hits the ball all over the ballpark anyway, I think it'll even benefit him even more. So I'm not really too worried about it. But again, yeah, and the age that we're playing and the age of where baseball's at, would love to see him get up to like 16, 17 homers next year.
Again, like I said, if he's giving you anywhere between 15, 20 home runs a year, like that's like all you can really ask for out of a guy like that. Like for a guy that's made his kind of game on contact to also get you 15, 20 homers, like you can't ask for much more.
And Steven, I wasn't slandering you. I'm just saying what happened. I didn't even say he was Tim Anderson.
Got injured.
I didn't even say he was Tim Anderson. I just said he was Tim Anderson like. So
he had a great year. As a Sox fan, I have to admit he far exceeded my expectations, and I would have given him an A this year overall.
There we go. All right, here's Luke.
That's fair.
Let's see what Luke's got.
Would you trade him for Tim Anderson straight up?
No, because Nico's better defensively.
Ooh.
No, I was
that is
asking
also true.
I was asking Steven.
Oh no, I'm keeping Tim Anderson. That's not happening.
I was just curious.
There's not a lot of differences in them. I think you might get a better offensive hitter out of Tim Anderson, but you definitely get a better defensive player out of Nico Hoerner. So,
these things are both true. I'll give you that.
I don't think it'd be like a huge win for either team, but I think it's interesting. David Snyder says Nico A. To me, he is an untouchable player, all-star, possibly Hall of Famer. Injury bug was a temporary thing. So
I love this energy. I love this energy.
Hall of Famer may be going a little far. I do remember.
Snyder has been watching Brendan's podcast.
I do remember around the All-Star game, like there was definitely talk of like, was Nico Hoerner a snub like for an All-Star? And there's like the fact that he put himself kind of in that discussion, kind of is a testament to what he did this year.
Yeah. Nah, again, like. Going back to what I said about him and Tim Anderson, like I think you really could like next year if he puts up another season like this next year, then I think you can really start talking about him maybe being better than him just if you're seeing consecutive seasons of it. But again, Nico has had one really good year. Tim Anderson has put together a solid career since he's came up to the big leagues. That's just me being fair. So don't say I'm just a biased fan of this show.
All right, let's look at my report card, and as we do, I see Collada has given Tom Ricketts an F+, so that is positive. He didn't go straight F. He went F+.
He went F+.
He didn't even give him an F-.
He didn't give him an F-, F+.
Things are looking up for Mr. Ricketts. My report card, and I have one that I would change, but we'll go with this anyway. Overall offense, I went B because, like you guys, I want to see 15 to 20 home runs, and I think that's coming next year. For where he was a year ago to where he is now, unbelievable progress. And like Cody, I don't see myself giving anybody on the team an A. The only person I would have considered going A for would have been Nico Hoerner. But if I compare him to the rest of the team, well, if he was an all-star, which isn't necessarily his fault, or if he wins the Gold Glove, which we'll get to in a second, maybe these grades go up. But currently where it stands, I'll go offense B because I would like to see more power, but I've been really impressed with, everything he did on the offensive side. Now, defensively, I'm going B+. Again, I think that goes up to an A-A. It probably goes to just a straight A if he wins the Gold Glove because I don't think he could do much better than that. I'll say B because what do we say? The metrics say right now maybe he was the second best shortstop defensively in the National League.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
so
defensive run saved.
B the B plus there might be a little hard. Maybe that should be an A minus. That's the one I would change. But when I go to my overall grade and I say B plus, it's for a couple reasons. It's one, I'm comparing him to everybody else in baseball. And if I'm comparing him to the best shortstops in baseball, I want a little more power. And I think it's coming. I didn't want everything to be perfect this season. He's young. And then everybody knows the injury stuff. Like, is it his fault that an umpire runs into him? Like, no. But I wanted him to see him play more games. Now, it was better than last year. He's proven he's more durable, all of those things. I could see myself upping the overall grade to A minus, but I think B plus is the right grade for me. The only thing I would change is defense. I would move it to an A minus, and I would then, if he gets the Gold Glove, then I would say he's an A, and possibly overall grade goes up. But right now, I didn't feel like I wanted to give anybody on the team an A either. And I know it's not because of the record. I'm just saying, I don't know if anybody at any position was necessarily the best player in all of baseball at that position. And to me, that's an A or an A plus. And
so
if we're being difficult about it, I'll say I'll stick with the B plus. I could easily go as high as an A minus.
You and Michael Kawada. Well, Michael Kawada agrees with you. He agrees with you. So
you guys are shaking hands.
No. His belief was nobody on the team gets an A until they're above 500, which I don't agree with, because if Nico Hoerner hit 25 home runs and was the Gold Glove winner and they still lost, they still lost more games than they won, or they were 500 or whatever, I would still give him an A, because that was the best. He was the best at that position. I'm comparing him to the rest of baseball, and I can't remember who said it in the chat, and something in that clicked in my head too. They said, I started dropping the grades a little bit when I started watching them. I felt pretty good until I watched the playoff games, and then I saw what real playoff teams look like, and I realized, oh, that's the expectation, not the expectation for what was this guy last year. What is he now? So
right.
I don't agree with Michael's thing that a team under 500 can't have an A player. It can. Like Mike Trout is an A player.
Right.
But
I just think that the defensive side of his game this year was so good that he was deserving of an A, because no one thought he could do it at shortstop.
You went A minus?
I went A. I just went a straight A on it. I mean, I didn't think about the plus and the minus, to be honest with you.
I can go A minus. Like I said, if he wins the Gold Glove, I'm happy with. For sure would go to an A minus. But right now, I would say he's at like what?
He should be in the running. He should at least be a finalist for the Gold Glove this year.
He's like, if I was given a percentage, I'd say 86, 87%. That's a B plus, or 88. He's 88%. That's the B plus.
Okay,
that's fair. That's fair. There's not much difference between a B plus and an A minus.
I think mine's like 93, like right on the low end of A, but it's still technically an A.
Yeah.
Right. And for a guy that really didn't get very many A's, it's got to be tough to get an A. I want to make it a little tougher for everybody. Don't be disappointed in a C. It means you're average. That's good.
Hey, C's got degrees. That's what I told myself at Eastern Illinois.
That's right.
Every time I went to the bar.
You got to have average people in the class too.
That's why I'm doing this instead of doing like math and stuff.
That's right. That's why you're Cody Delmetrics, but you're not an engineer.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Hey, Chicago, you ready? Have the best coverage for your favorite teams. Now get fitted out in the best sports gear around. Foco's got you covered from Soldier Field to the fan cave in your basement. North side, south side, hoodies, slippers, signs, bobbleheads, everything in between. Get decked out like DeMar with apparel from the leader in sports, merchandise, and collectibles, Foco. If you're looking for that perfect gift for the football fan in your life, Foco's got you covered. Hoodies that will fight that Lake Michigan breeze. It's starting to get cool out there. Check out foco.com or click the link in the description below. For all non-presale items, use the promo code CHGO for 10% off your order. And now this one's a product that we've teamed up with, and Cody is big on this because he's seen it in person. Chi-Town Custom Cornhole, the #1 cornhole provider in Chicagoland and Illinois since 2007. They have a signature box style that can be digitally printed, covered in vinyl, and painted Their cornhole boards come with built-in drink holders recessed on the back, LED lights that light up the hole in the exterior, handles for easier carrying, and also handcrafted scorekeepers. Veteran owned and operated. They ship everywhere. They also offer you local pickups if you want, specializing in corporate designs for your next meeting or social event, weddings, gifts, all occasions, especially tailgates or backyard barbecues. Did you have one in Champaign when you went to the Illini game? I know they made us some pretty cool CHGO ones that we have in studio, but did you have one at the Illini game?
At the tailgate I was at, there were my friend. He had a bag set or
But
cornhole set.
not the Chi-Town.
It was not through Chi-Town. I told him all about it though. I told him all about it. Told me he should get a nice Illini themed set, and they would have the best tailgate at Illini games the rest of the fall.
You know what somebody should do? They should get Lovey's face and make the hole his mouth. So you're like throwing the bags to like Lovey's mouth. And you get like the big gray beard is at the bottom of the board. That's what I would do if I was.
Well, a lot of people are scarred from the Lovey Smith era, so I don't think anyone will do that.
Hey, he's back in the NFL. You guys ready to get back to report cards? Justin Steele?
Let's do it.
So the report cards for the pitchers, we decided we were trying to figure out how you can't go offense, defense, DH now. So we went results like record, strikeouts, innings, whip, all of those things, right? And then we went stuff and adjustments. What does the eye test tell you? Is this guy, is it Wisniewski? Does it look sick? And did he make the adjustments when the league made the adjustments? Has he added a pitch? Has he improved himself throughout the season? So then overall grade. Let's go in the same order. Ryan, you take Justin Steele, who I think would be another guy that might get pretty high grades, possibly even close to A. So I'm curious what you guys gave him.
All right. So I just B pluses all around the board. He had a good year. He had a really good year. First full season as a starter. And really he was kind of that rock in the rotation the entire year until obviously the low back stuff that pretty much ended his season. But up until then, I mean, you look at what he does. I mean, he's a lefty, so he always going to have like natural low cut action on stuff just from that angle. But I mean, you look on Baseball Savant, his like StatCast percentile rankings, like average exit velocity, 80th percentile, hard hit percentage, 82nd percentile, barrel rate, 95th percentile. I mean, this guy wasn't giving up hard contact like at all year. And with a good defense behind him, I know we had a lot of errors and just poor defensive play early in the season. He with a good defense behind him like that's going to help him out so much as far as like he gets the ball on the ground all the time. Like I think over 50% of the time or almost 60%, something like that. I wrote it down somewhere, but like he was getting ground balls. So like with a good defense, that's going to shore up a lot of things. And, I did the kind of search for it because he only ended up with 4 wins. He was 4-7. He made 24 starts. He was 4-7. I think he had a 3.18 ERA. He was the only pitcher in baseball all year to make 24 starts, have an ERA under 3.50, and only win 4 games. Like we know starting pitching wins don't really matter in this day and age, but like when you're the only one with numbers as good as his were, that kind of tells you something. Like you want to see him take steps further moving forward because he's 20, he's going to be 28 or he is 28 now. Something like he's 27, 28.
27 this year.
I think he's going to be 28 next July. You want to see him start taking quick steps further because, obviously before he gets to 30, but I think he has really good potential to be, that 2-3 guy in this rotation for a few years when this team is good. But yeah, so I gave him B pluses all around. I mean, just as far as stuff, he's got good pitches. They all generally work, again, just considering the fact that he doesn't give up a lot of hard contact. The 4-seamer, he threw that the most pitch this year. It did end up with a 313, batting average against, but expected batting average against was 276. So a little bit of bad luck there as far as other opponents putting the ball in play against that. The slider was by far his number 2 used pitch that had a .136 batting average. So I mean, he has good top 2 pitches. He throws 5, not as much, and I think that's still something that him and Hadavi and Daniel Moskos are going to be tinkering with as far as really mixing, bringing more pitches into the mix more often. Yeah, so as far as the stuff goes, B+. You want to see the numbers be a little better, but they were good for this season for him for sure. And yeah, I mean, he made adjustments. I remember early in the season, he was kind of struggling to get through 5 innings for the most part. And then by the end of the season, it felt like he was going to give you, he took the ball and you could count on 6-7 innings every time he went out there. I mean, that's as far as adjustments go, like he became a guy that you can count on to cover innings later in the season. He still had a couple games that, a little shorter, gave up a few more runs or something like that. But I mean, he was kind of giving you quality start after quality start there for a little while. And that's, you want, again, I gave him a B+ in that sense, just because you want to see that over the full season, not half. The lockout and the 99-day lockouts, short spring, that didn't help him at all, at least in the first half. But now that he's got the full off season, he was telling me he feels good. He's going to spend the off season. He wants to he put on weight last off season and he thinks that kind of helped him get through most of the grind of the season. He plans on kind of keeping that on, adding more core stability, all these different things just to help his body get through the full season. So if he could do that, he's got the full off season, regular spring training. So if he can bring what he kind of did in that second half, like July, August, into next year and do that the whole year, I think you're looking at a very good foundational piece for this team moving forward.
Unrelated, naked guy is on the balcony, but he's not naked.
Yep,
Got a hoodie on.
Too cold.
He's wearing a hoodie.
Hoodie guy.
So what was your overall for Steele again?
B+.
B+. Okay. Mine's not different, but it is different. So I guess it is different. I'm going results B, because he did struggle to start the year. He really didn't get it going, honestly, until June, beginning of June. If you look at his number, you go on Fangraphs and pull up the game logs and start at June and move to the rest of the year. I think that was when you started to believe that this guy could be something in this rotation. April and May wasn't the greatest months for him, but again, he was coming into a year where the Cubs just kind of threw him into the fire to see what he could do. There were some starts he had at the end of 2021 that I thought that there was some potential there. And again, it just wasn't off to a great start. So, I'd probably give his results a higher grade if he had just done it all season. But, we talked about how at the beginning of the year, the starting rotation just wasn't giving you quality innings, wasn't going deep in the games. And he was one of those guys. I'm glad that he figured it out. And I think the conversation with John Lester and, with how the Cubs pitching coach Hadavi and Moskos are able to take guys who may not be highlighted as someone who's going to be able to be at the top of your rotation, but get the best out of them with the talent that they are. Did I think at the end of this year that Justin Steele was going to be in the middle of the rotation, the Cubs rotation in 2023? Did I have a high belief that he could be that guy? No. He changed my mind though. And when I say that, doesn't mean that I didn't think he could be on the team. I thought maybe he would go back to the bullpen. But he pitched well enough to give me confidence in him being in the rotation next year. And that's kind of why I have an A for him on stuff/adjustments. Like I said, he got better as the year went along. He was, like Ryan said, was going 6-7 innings. There were starts where he looked like unhittable. He looked like there were starts out that he looked like a number 1 starter out there. He was very fun to watch. And then on top of not on top of just the performance, you had the bulldog mentality from him. It felt like sometimes when he was out there, and I love the energy. Never forget the GIF after I think there was an out, like a relay throw home, and he's behind home plate and they get the out and he's just pumped up. And I love that energy from your starting pitcher whenever the defense picks him up and stuff, even in times where he's maybe not doing the best. But I think you had a lot of John Lester type vibes from him this year. Do I think he's going to have a John Lester like career? No, because John Lester is a borderline Hall of Famer. But he definitely gives off the vibe of, you can put me in a game and go out there and give you quality innings and give my team a chance to win. And when you look at the rest of the pitchers around the league, like, I think you can put him up there with someone who you can believe in. Again, there's no doubt he's going to be in the rotation next year. So as far as stuff and adjusting, I put that at an A. And then overall, I'm just going with a B because we just didn't get a full year of it, right? It was from June until he got hurt. And you got hurt at the end of August? So
we missed all September.
Right. So, like, what I need is a full year of it. I need a full year. He gave us 24 starts. That's solid. We need 30. I need 30 starts. I need 30 starts from Justin Steele next year, and he will earn an A from me. If he gives me 30 starts and numbers like this next year, he will undoubtedly be just a great representation of how this pitching infrastructure has completely changed for the Cubs since the golden era ended, honestly. So I think a B is a fair grade for someone like him. Could have been higher, again, if he was more consistent and better in April and May for me.
I think those are both really fair grades for him.
Yeah, and I was just like just rankings as far as like, so this is kind of in a group of starters with at least 100 innings pitched. This is all per Fangraphs. Justin Steele had was worth 2.6 F-WAR. Fangraphs wins above replacement, which is 51st across the big leagues among starters with 100 innings pitched, and that's including him missing an entire month. So, like, that's if you're just kind of saying everyone has a 1-2, and they just kind of keep going down from there. That would be like a 2-3 level starter at least, which is what you want from Justin Steele. 3.9% barrel rate ranked second in that group. 33.3% hard hit rate ranked 14th in that group. And then you had 51.2% ground ball rate 12th, 8.7 fly ball per home run ratio 28th. So just again, a lot of balls getting put on the ground, even the ones in the air, not hit hard, not leaving the park.
Yeah.
Do dead baseballs have something to do with it? Maybe, but he just, again, a guy that has stuff that maybe plays a little bit later on in the pitch that kind of throws things off just by a touch, so that guys aren't getting the full barrel on the ball, and you see it lead to success as far as limiting big score, big run plays, home runs, triples, like extra base hits. Like Justin Steele, I think if that's one thing he can build on, is the fact that he just limits hard contact among kind of the best pitchers in the league.
Yeah. I just, to me, when you look at the expectations for him coming into this year, I think he completely surpassed anything that we all thought. Yeah. And that's why, I give him a B.
It's fair.
This year was all about learning and exploring, right? And we learned a lot. And I think that the Cubs have a very solid middle of the rotation guy going in next year.
Yeah. All right, let's do mine real quick because mine's pretty much on the same path as yours. Again, like going into it, I didn't know what to expect. He was a 4 or 5 early in the season when he was struggling. I was ready to send him back to the bullpen. And then John Lester got a hold of him and said, "Pound your fastball, kid. Don't be afraid. Go after him," right? Yeah. Corey Friedman got all sweaty and excited and was just all about it. And so I went about pretty much the same way you guys did. I went overall B+, but like the results are a B because, again, the beginning of the season wasn't great. And if I'm comparing him to the other pitchers in the league, it's not like he's in the top 10 in any category in Major League Baseball. It's like he's not one of the 5 best ERAs in baseball. But for a B, at the 4 or 5 spot in a rotation, yeah, he is pretty good. So I tried to average those two things and say, okay, he gets a B. Stuff and adjustments, that's where he gets the A. He added a pitch, and he changed the way he was going about it, and he got the results. I don't care which of them was a bigger impact. He got the results, and I go B+ because I don't think he was better than Nico Hoerner, so I don't think anybody's getting better than a B+. But maybe I'm forgetting somebody in my head as we start to go through it. But I think Steele and Hoerner, I could have argued A- for each of them. I just think B+ seemed, in my eyes, a little bit more fair. By the way, have you seen tough times for former Cubs? Like David Robertson's got a calf injury from celebrating with the Phillies. Kimbrel's not on the divisional list. Chapman's not on the divisional list.
Efros got hurt.
Efros is I feel awful for him.
Did you say?
But now you look at
Yeah,
that
he said
Wesneski deal and you go, holy cow, like what? You got Wesneski and he's going to have Tommy John. It's like Hoyer coming to the Cubs, right?
Yeah. I said it to Ryan before we went on air when we were talking about it a little, and it's like, I feel bad for the guy considering how he completely changed the type of pitcher he was to get to the major leagues. But also, Jed Hoyer has fleeced the city of New York consecutive years. You gotta love what we see in PCA and what we've seen from Hayden Wesneski in the month that we saw him. There's a lot to like, guys. There's a lot to like. Not saying that I'm not saying the Cubs have won the trade yet. I'm just saying that it's looking good. I mean, if Ross has to have Tommy John now, he's definitely going to be out all of next year. So that's another year of control the Yankees lose out. Also, they're not going to be able to use him this playoffs. I mean, if Wesneski stays healthy, we're feeling pretty good about that one. And remember, at the time of the trade, a lot of people freaked out, including me. And, sometimes the front office sees some things more than what we see. And I'm not saying that they saw an injury coming to Scott Efros, but I think to be able to get a potential guy in the rotation for a reliever where you're already developing a lot of relievers yourself, it's kind of, you look at it and you're like, wow, that's a great trade. For honestly, at the time of it, once you think about it later, you're like, well, that's a great trade for both teams because the Yankees needed bullpen help and the Cubs needed a starter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of worked in the way. I know Jed kind of said it was just like a good old fashioned baseball trade. Like it was wasn't like future versus now, that kind of stuff. It was like the Cubs got a guy, and the Yankees got a guy like that they both really wanted, and that's what Jed said on Monday. So it kind of was like, I mean, if this makes it like the Cubs won the trade as far as like this season goes, but like if F. Ross obviously doesn't need Tommy John, pitches well for the Yankees, is like both sides feel great about that trade. I think the Cubs feel comfortable knowing that they have a good infrastructure to bring up good relievers through their system, and I think the Yankees have a good feeling about what their pitching infrastructure could do for starting pitchers. So it's like if Efros again doesn't get hurt and pitches well for the Yankees, they have control over him for a few more years. Like I think they both feel good about how the trade went for both sides because they can kind of replace what they lost in that trade. I think both teams see that, and I guess you kind of see what Efros does for the next few years now. I mean, not next year. I think it's pretty clear he's going to miss all next year now. Yeah. But the years after that, like see what he can do in a Yankee uniform, and then you kind of see. Then you can kind of look back and see, did both sides may have won this trade.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to it.
But right now, it looks really good for the Cubs.
Yeah.
So savor the flavor.
Hey, real quick before we go, we got a message, I believe, on Twitter or sent to the CHGO. It was Josh, a Cubs fan in Milwaukee, and he's wanted us to address the fact that Vegas going into the season set the over-under for Cubs wins at 75, right? It ends up being 74, and he's like, how did they get so close? Cody, I'll let you handle this because really this is why Vegas is unbelievable.
Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, I'll say this, like, I know that everyone will laugh at me when I say that Wade Miley and Albert Alzolay, like, not being a part of the first half isn't the reason that the Cubs lost so many games. But when you talk about how the starting rotation was not good at all, we talked about how Wade Miley was a quality arm or has a history of being a quality arm. Who knows? Maybe the Cubs get a few more wins in the first half if he's healthy. And Albert Alzolay, we just saw in September how good he can be out of the bullpen. And, I mean, I didn't know how they were going to use him. I assumed he was going to be in the rotation going into this year before they even got hurt. I just think that Vegas thought that the Cubs would be in a lot of close games, and the Cubs were in a lot of close games this year, and they would have hit that over if that first half went a little bit better. I don't think that they thought that, the schedule's easy in the second half, they're going to get to 74 or 5 wins or whatever. No. I think that they genuinely thought the Cubs would be a mediocre team like we all,
like all season.
yeah, like
Instead
all
of going
season.
25 games.
Right.
But
Yeah.
you
No,
trade
I don't think
two big
anyone
position
thought that they were
players.
going to lose like 60 games, like as far as like the Vegas people.
What'd you say, Luke?
Yeah. I said they didn't trade their two big position players. You got to factor that
Yeah,
into. I
another
think
one.
most people thought Contreras and Happ were gone. So
Yeah.
how many wins did those guys help them get in the second half of the season? It's unbelievable that they're that close. You just watch the football games and you're like, how do they come up with an over-under for points? And it's coming down to some guy taking a safety at the end of the game, screwing over, millions of people on a bet.
The point about Happ and Contreras, I mean, a large majority of everyone thought they were going to be gone. Again, they set that line before the year, right?
Yeah.
So they're thinking with that possibly being a thing as well is even more kind of like wow, because especially after that first half, and if they did trade those guys, then yeah, I think we'd be talking about a 100-loss team here. But I don't know. It's I can't explain Vegas. They just know something.
Yeah,
but
I've always been of the ilk that like I don't know how Vegas runs. I don't want to know how Vegas runs. They may have or may have not done a deal with the devil just to just feed me some of these odds here now. Like just help us control this thing. I don't know. It's a mystery to me. I'll never figure it out, and I'm just gonna keep gambling and barely losing over unders because I can't. There's no way to figure it out. Vegas is king.
No.
Yeah, sometimes you can catch them wrong though, like that line last night for Raiders and Chiefs. I took the Raiders, and that was never a doubt. Literally, never a doubt.
See, that's why Cody's in on this stuff, because he always thinks he's got a little more on it than Vegas. He always thinks he's ahead of the game, and that's why 15 bets a night go down. Like that's how his weekend gets flooded with like 75 bets.
And the house always wins,
thinks
man.
He's got it over Vegas.
I finished even this week,
The
right?
house always wins, no matter what you do.
Finished even. It
Wins.
could have been worse. I've already placed bets for this coming weekend. I can't wait to sweat them all.
Of course you have. All right, we're going to continue our report cards tomorrow at 1:20, Wednesday 1:20. Corey Friedman's also going to join us in studio, break down a couple more Cubs players, talk about the games that are going on right now. Phillies pouring it on big against the Braves. And we want to thank Adam Sobel and Mike Welsh, Cubs Productions and Sky Candy Studios, our guests today. We appreciate that. And we appreciate everybody in the chat that jumped on. Another good chat for middle of the day, 1:20. So we will see you at that time on Wednesday as well. Thanks again for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by PointsBet. Take care. Fly the W. We'll see you on Wednesday.